kind of give me the big picture on the Mexican drug cartel in Oklahoma.
Well, when you put it in those terms, when you say cartels relating to Oklahoma, where I experienced that is that when over a period of 14 years, establishing people migrating to Oklahoma and their points of contact, we learned that some of these people were related to family members or had connections to cartel members in Mexico. When you say cartel to me, well, we mainly deal here in Oklahoma City with Juarez, Chihuahua, Sinaloa. There's a few cartels down there. I don't know which one's over which area. It varies. But we experience it at levels when we do arrests involving 1,000 pounds of marijuana or where we're doing buying 50 kilos cocaine. At those levels is when you're dealing with a cartel connection. To lose that kind of dope or those type of drugs, somebody has to answer for that loss. And in turns, what we've experienced is after those arrests, those people are deported. We'll never hear from them again. We'll try to search them. We'll get death certificates. These people are killed for these types of cases. The people we take off, these sources here in Oklahoma City and throughout Oklahoma, are dealing amounts that a regular Oklahoman would think, how do they get those drugs here? Well, obviously we have I-35, I-40 going right through the middle of our state. Those main arteries, they're able to set up warehousing or warehouses to set or keep the dope in. So having those transportation routes and having the ability to set up a warehouse for other people to come get it from Oklahoma is fairly easy.
How far-reaching is how far does it span in the state?
We've been since we cover the whole state, we've had cases that have taken us to Hardesty, to Binger, to Altus, to Poto, to Hugo, Oklahoma, to Idabel. I'm naming these towns because I'm talking about these cartel connections. These are just not regular dope deals. I'm talking about cartel drugs affecting cities in Oklahoma. Of course, a city sees the majority since there's a larger population, but it's throughout the state. There's been areas near Eufaula, Tiger Mountain, where there's been drop-off points where these people are meeting with local buyers, and these drivers are from Las Cruces, Juarez, or Mexico. So there's various locations throughout the state that you can identify as wholesale spots.
The violence that we're seeing now down on the border, when you read in a newspaper or see a news report about the violence down there, police chief being killed, an editor being assassinated, what does that mean to you as an undercover agent here in Oklahoma?
You know, as an Oklahoman and being an agent involved in taking these people off, I can tell you it's closer related to what I do. I see the violence and what they do to some of these informants. I see the violence on what they do to each other. We've experienced on one occasion where one of the targets that we were doing the case was kidnapped, taken to Dallas, and sequestered until he paid his drug debt. That's the kind of violence that I see connected with those cartels. Everyday Oklahoman probably does not ever experience that until they see it in the papers or in the news. They're out there. They're really in their neighborhoods. It's just it's hard for Oklahoma to understand that the violence is migrating to Oklahoma. I cannot say that level is here, but we're seeing the early stages. If you take California or other states that have had second, fourth, and fifth generations, they're at that level of violence. They are killing on the streets. They will make a execution-style murder regarding drugs. The goal for us is to try to establish intelligence, to identify these groups, so we can prevent that.
What is the danger, do you think?
Oklahomans out there in the public are in danger because they deal with some of these people without them knowing. They'll visit some of these restaurants that they own. The danger is being caught in a crossfire. Now, I can't really tell you how that may happen, but we had an arrest occur at Penn Square Mall. There was 30 guys out there and 3 suspects. The danger is somebody could have got shot. I mean, that's the real danger.
Tell us about a moment, or maybe a case or a moment that kind of brought it home to you that maybe now kind of signifies what you guys are fighting on the streets in terms of the Mexican drug cartel.
During one of the undercover operations, we were dealing with a main target who was buying 50 keys of cocaine. We were posing as the sellers, and the main reason because the crunch on the border, how the military has come in and tried to prevent some of the border crossings, has really prevented some of the dope coming across, some of it, not all of it. These people were searching for cocaine and posing as suppliers. We were able to discuss with them the terms of the sale. During that discussion, he really discussed his connections with Mexico, with people in Dallas, with certain cartel members, naming certain areas. Those things that you hear on TV, and then you have somebody right in front of you showing a real connection with those cartels, really thought, it's really more, it's here on a real level. I'm dealing with a guy that's connected with a cartel, but just cannot get his cocaine right now, so he's outsourcing to somebody else. So it really touched home at that moment. The way they're portrayed on the border is realistic. They're killing people. You see the violence, but to see the higher levels where they're communicating on shipments, setting up shops, that's what we experience. And when you run into a guy discussing what he can buy in the future, he wanted 50 keys a week. I mean, you're really dealing with somebody that you're talking 50 keys is you're talking $1.5 million a week. That's real money. So that touches home.
How do you think this has affected Oklahoma's Hispanic neighborhoods and families?
I think it's brought just to some group of the Latino, families living in Oklahoma, some negative content. The majority of drugs are coming from Mexico. Cartel members only deal with people they can communicate. That happens to be Spanish. So the people we tend to arrest with those smuggling are Hispanic, Latino people.
Do you think the Latinos? Do you think they're scared, worried, concerned? I mean, do you think they have?
I think Latinos that are doing right, paying their bills, working hard, are upset. I mean, they're upset that they have these type of peoples that are really that bring them down to a certain point. It just makes other Latinos having to work harder to justify, hey, we're not all bad, we're not all doing wrong.